Story 1. Finding a hobby. I was binge eating because I was bored. Coming home from work to sit on the couch made it way easier to eat poorly. Now, I just go and do something I like, so I won't find distraction in eating. Story 2. Found a salad I actually really like. Sounds dumb, but I'd never craved a salad before, and having one I actually really liked meant I strung together a solid few weeks of eating a lot of lettuce. It snowballed from there because I actually felt good and then started craving feeling good. Story 3. I meal prepped my typical amount of food, and instead of putting it in 2 containers, I spread it evenly in 4 containers. I forced myself to only eat 1 container per meal and tricked my brain into thinking it was my normal amount. I effectively cut calories in half by doing this and lost about 40 pounds in 9 months. Story 4. I started taking the bike instead of the bus. That wasn't what made me lose weight, though. I was arriving at work sweating as if it was raining outside. That motivated me to work on my cardio, and for that, I started losing weight. Story 5. My neighbor, who is currently sitting next to me, started laughing. His answer was drugs. I remember when I started doing cocaine. I lost about 80 pounds in half a year. Please don't take his advice. Story 6. I got one of those calorie counting applications. Eating wasn't the hardest part. It was getting used to that application that was hard. Taking your phone out every time, blah, blah, blah. But eventually, it worked, and now I don't even need the application anymore. Counting calories will get fun eventually since you'll get to know your body and digestive system better. Story 7. I saw a doctor about my type 2 diabetes. I weighed over 300 pounds and also had coronary artery disease. I qualified for diabetes medication that also helps control appetite. I started tracking calories and exercising. I have lost over 100 pounds and work out 6 days a week. I no longer need diabetes medication because my blood sugar has been stable for over a year. A stress test showed perfect heart function. Live strong. Story 8. Using an app to track everything I ate, I realized a lot of healthy things I was eating, in the quantities I was eating them, were a lot more calories than I thought. Just cutting down on certain foods did the trick. Story 9. Walking. Validation that I'd lost 45 pounds in 7 months by just walking every night around my neighborhood. It was free and low impact. I walked, rain or shine, even through snowstorms. Now, I have a treadmill and walk indoors, but the feeling is still as great as it was in the beginning. Story 10. To reuse a response I made to a similar question. Embrace the suffering. Expect that you will be breathing hard and uncomfortable when you are doing cardio. Expect that you will be sore after you lift, and expect that you will be hungry when you are restricting your intake. Once you stop focusing on not wanting to be uncomfortable, you open yourself up to all the positive feelings associated with fitness that lead to adherence and ultimately real and lasting results. Story 11. One night, out of boredom, I watched that sugar film. It's not a groundbreaking documentary or anything, and I wasn't even looking for motivation to be healthy. But it explains what sugar does to your body and how food companies have hidden added sugars in foods for decades. That lit a fire. I was mad because I had been living with a misunderstanding that things like fruit juice or low-fat foods were healthy, when in fact they are loaded with sugars. That night, I threw out anything in my kitchen that had added sugars. Over the next week or two, my mood leveled out and my mental health improved. Over the next 2 years, I steadily lost 60 pounds. I'll never go back. Added sugar is the devil. Edit. Clarified my misunderstanding. Story 12. Prepare your diet. It does not have to be physically prepared, but make sure you know what you are going to eat throughout the day. The hard thing will not be eating since you are looking forward to the next meal. Story 13. Moving out of my parents' house and not having money still took a lot of discipline. But when you can't afford a quarter pounder every day with a large bag of Doritos, it helps. Story 14. Going to the doctor. I had been trying everything. I had a healthy diet and consistent exercise for months, but was seeing virtually no movement in my weight. Turns out I have an autoimmune disease. I found out I have Hashimoto's and a nearly dead thyroid, so my metabolism was completely cooked. My body literally didn't burn calories the way it was supposed to. Once I got the diagnosis, I was able to get thyroid medication, and my body's metabolism got back to where it's supposed to be. Weight began to fall off. So I encourage everyone out there to go see a doctor if you think you're eating right and exercising but not seeing much improvement. You might have a condition. Story 15. I quit drinking alcohol. Not the only thing, but it helped. I stopped buying all chips, crackers, candy, and ice cream. Fewer carbs, lots of vegetables. Small portions. Real food, no processed garbage. No eating after 8 p.m. I started walking and got up to 2 miles a day. In the summer of 2023, I was over 200 pounds and had a hard time walking up the small hill to work. I just had a doctor's visit last week, and my weight is 179. My goal is 160. Clothes fit better, maybe even a little big. Never thought that would happen. If I can lose weight, anybody can. Never give up. Story 16. Food addicts. 12-step recovery has helped me understand what was behind all my insane food behavior. The binging, restricting, purging, and obsessing. I've been maintaining my dream weight now for 1.5 years. Story 17. Realizing that I could work out in my bedroom, my brother jokes that it's an oversized closet, but the results speak for themselves. I still have a long way to go before I can say I'm happy, but seeing results helps me know I'm headed in the right direction. Story 18. Calorie deficit, prioritize protein and 2 liters of water, sleep 7 hours minimum, 7,000 to 10,000 steps a day, weights 3 times a week. I lost 2 kilograms in 3 weeks and have still enjoyed takeaway, mom's cooking, and chocolates. Story 19. You don't want to have a diet. You want to change your habits. Diet Cola. Rather have ketchup instead of mayonnaise, no extra cheese, chicken over red meat. Things like that won't do harm to you and will help you for the most part. Story 20. Stop eating before and after certain hours. It is easier to restrict yourself in time knowing you are free to eat at a certain point of the day. Of course, this is step 1. Step 2 would be really changing your lifestyle and diet. Story 21. I replied to a similar question recently with this. I cut out specific items gradually. I started with soft drinks. Once I was able to go without that, I added other things. Sometimes it was a specific fast food chain, and other times it was a specific item from a fast food chain. I then made actively better choices in general around my food. Took months, but it worked. I don't crave anything that I've cut out, and I still have items that I haven't cut out completely because I still like to enjoy eating those things. Making it a habit is the hardest but most rewarding way, in my opinion. I do think it has more to do with what you put in, and it's easier to control that if you are busy and can't do as much exercise as you'd like every day. Story 22. Ozempic. I no longer binge eat or sneak my way into my son's locked food box. I stopped buying takeaway. It's been a life changer. I'm no longer controlled by food. Story 23. Not me, but my other half has had trouble with her weight for a few years after starting antidepressants. Dieting and exercise were seeing marginal gains, and it was becoming hopeless. The key for us was correcting her mental health, and this has taken a few years, a change of job, removing toxic people from her life, and a lot of therapy. Now she's managed to wean herself off her antidepressants, and she's seeing small, sustainable losses without dieting. We run more, swim more, and are generally more active. Story 24. Diet and exercise. When I was at my most fit, I did yoga every day, and my diet was probably pretty restrictive looking back. I loved how I looked, but it became an obsession. Focus less on your weight and more on feeling good. If that means you like how you look in your jeans, so be it, but don't misconstrue losing weight for being healthy. Story 25. You absolutely have to acknowledge and sit with the feelings. Whether it's fear of movement, using food to medicate shame, or an addiction to sugar, you can work out and diet in endless cycles, but you can't make a sustainable life change without addressing the triggers. Story 26. What was that one thing that made weight loss finally work for you? Manjaro. I've wrestled with my weight my entire adult life, and I've tried pretty much everything. I did variations on low carb and low fat. I did Atkins and South Beach and carbohydrate addicts. I did the prepackaged stuff like Slim Fast, Nutrisystem, and Lean Cuisine. I did the gimmicky stuff like Deal a Meal, I did the support groups like Weight Watchers and Overeaters Anonymous. I tracked calories. I don't know how many gym memberships I've had over the years. I met with nutritionists. I've even talked to my doctor about gastric surgery on more than one occasion. During one of the talks with my doctor, she suggested I try this Manjaro thing, and it was genuinely life-changing. A lot of the discussion around obesity and weight loss here in the United States kind of makes it seem like some personal failing, like a character problem. You're just too weak or dumb or lazy. You need more willpower. Just get off your ass and go to the gym. Make better choices. It's not like the food is crawling down your throat in the middle of the night, right? You have to eat it, right? Just don't do that. And maybe that works for some people, but it didn't work for me. It seems weird to talk about food as an addiction. I mean, obviously we all have to eat or we'll die, but it honestly felt more like an addiction to me. I was constantly thinking about what I was going to eat next. I was planning out my next day's meals before I went to sleep. I was thinking about snacks and stuff throughout the day, and I'd have this nagging awareness of any food in the house. I couldn't just have one cookie because there was a voice in the back of my head telling me that there are more cookies and I should go eat more of them. Obviously, just don't buy cookies in the first place, right? If they're not in the house, there's no nagging voice, right? But then the voice would just be nagging me to go to the store and get them. Swing by the local gas station and grab a candy bar. It's just up the street. Order a pizza. That burger in the commercial looked good, DoorDash. It was this constant nagging to eat and eat and eat, even after I was full, even when it made me feel sick. Eat, eat, eat. Manjaro turned that voice off. I just don't think about food 24/7 like I used to. I can have a single cookie and not care about the rest of them. I've completely forgotten about bags of chips long enough for them to go stale, and then I thought they tasted too gross to actually eat them. I've been on Manjaro for about a year now, and I've lost roughly 120 pounds. I haven't had to do any crazy restrictive dieting either. I'm not forbidding certain foods or eating super healthy or spending all my time at the gym or anything. I'm just not constantly shoving food in my face. Story 27. For me, it was not asking out the woman I really liked because I was not confident with my body yet. A week prior to a dinner we had planned where I was going to tell her about my feelings, she told me she had started seeing someone. I promised myself I would never allow myself to be in that situation ever again. Story 28. For me, it was all about changing my mindset. I stopped seeing it as a diet and more like a lifestyle change. I focused on nourishing my body with good food and not just cutting stuff out. Once I shifted that thinking, everything clicked into place. Story 29. For me, it was motivation. I visited my mother and saw that we were now the same size, and for as long as I can remember, she was my definition of large. I got blood tested and found I was diabetic. Both of those were the literal kick in the pants to make a drastic change. 6 weeks later, I'm down 20 pounds, 60 more to go, and I know that will be much slower. I signed up for a program through my work. 0 sugar, very low carb. I hope I continue to see improvements. I can't say it's enjoyable, but it seems to be effective. Story 30. Caloric deficit is the only thing that works. Whether you fast or eat throughout the day, that's up to you. Exercising doesn't burn as many calories as you think, so that's not the way to do it. It does help with your metabolism and makes you fit, but it's not the key to losing weight. If you want to eat pizza, sure, eat pizza, just don't eat more than your calorie budget allows. Story 31. Having a baby. Now that my daughter is eating food with us, I am cooking so much more. I am now planning the week of meals consistently, actually using the groceries I buy, and eating out way less. Plus, having a baby is expensive, so I am having home coffee most of the time, which has way fewer calories than coffee I would buy out. Plus, chasing around a toddler and taking her for walks all the time is helping. I have not lost a lot of weight yet, but before getting pregnant, I was on a pretty consistent slow gain over several years. Aside from some postpartum weight gain due to my antidepressant at the time, I have been consistently losing weight for the past 8 months. Story 32. Quit drinking throughout the week. Save it for special occasions. Only diet soda. Limit sweets and desserts to special occasions. Count your calories. And for me, this worked wonders. Cut bread from your daily diet, along with any food that is too easy to make. Change your lifestyle. Story 33. Changing my mindset about it. Instead of trying to remove excess weight with a specific kilogram goal or time limit, I reframed it to be about changing who I am at my core. I created a new self, basically, someone who doesn't make the unhealthy choices I used to make, with exceptions only for special occasions and social gatherings. I feel somewhat like a monk compared to how I used to be. This helped immensely, along with a myriad of other life changes, gradually getting closer to my true self. Story 34. Diet expert here. First, ask yourself if you want to lose weight, be healthy, or both. To answer your question on how to lose weight, you want to burn more calories than you eat. The easiest way would be to eat what you love, but condense it into one big meal per day. Got room for 2,000 calories? Big pizza. 7 days per week. If you find it hard to eat clean, just don't eat clean. Story 35. Buying the right groceries. Ensuring I incorporate some form of protein and vegetables into at least one meal a day, cutting down on the daily rice or main carbohydrate to twice a week, and making sure I have enough lazy but healthy food for days I don't feel like cooking.